Hey everyone, this is Exploring Fiction, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to take a different approach, as I realized that so far my channel has been mostly very critical of media and entertainment and fiction, and I just wanted to instead today focus on something I find positive in fiction. So with today's video, I just wanted to highlight my favorite overall character moment in fiction. And this isn't one specific character, there will be three examples, but this is just a moment that occurs in a lot of stories that I like, and whenever I see this moment happening, it just brightens up my day and really my appreciation for the story. So this character moment is when characters in a story are willing to sacrifice themselves and fight for their friends, even if they know there's no way they're going to win or even come out alive. And so I have three main examples, all from movies, that I really enjoyed and just made me appreciate the character so much more. So my first example is Han Solo from The Empire Strikes Back. Now, of course, this is a classic one, but the moment that sticks out in my mind every time I think of this is when the doors open in Cloud City, when Lando opens the doors and Darth Vader's sitting there and he stands up. Han's first instinct isn't to run away or cower, but pull out his blaster and start shooting at Vader. And though, of course, this has no effect, as Vader's easily able to deflect all of the blaster bolts, this always brings my appreciation and respect for Han Solo way up, as I always liked his character, even from when he was supposed to be not as likable in the original Star Wars, but this moment right here just makes everything so much better for his character for me. And of course then he's encased in carbonite, and he does so with a grim expression on his face, but he never shows any fear. And so that moment, when he knows that he has no chance of winning against Darth Vader, even killing him, I just love to see that he pulls out his blaster and starts firing, even though he's going up against the most dangerous man in the galaxy, and he's doing so to protect those he loves. I just always am riveted by that moment in the best way possible. So, my second example is Boromir from the Fellowship of the Ring movie. Now, of course, it's been a while since I've read the Lord of the Rings books, so I don't really remember how it differs from the movie that well in certain parts. Like, obviously they left out some big things and added some different things, but in like the small nuances, I kind of forget what's different. But the whole scene at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, where Boromir is constantly taking arrows to the chest, but he keeps fighting off the Uruk-hai in order to save Merry and Pippin. That moment was always one of the saddest for me whenever I'd watch these movies, but also it just made me admire Boromir so much more, seeing that even though just a few moments ago he was trying to betray Frodo and take the ring, how in the end he's willing to sacrifice himself for these hobbits he hasn't known for too long. It just makes his sacrifice so much better, and he's fighting through wounds that most people would fall over and die or give up when sustained, and he just fights through it in order to protect Merry and Pippin. And it's even more bittersweet when you realize that his sacrifice was almost for nothing, since Merry and Pippin get captured anyway. Now, my third and final example for this character moment in fiction that I really love is actually Finn. Now, if you've been to my channel before, you'll probably know that I do not like the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and I even have a whole video discussing why Finn is the most disappointing character in that trilogy, and maybe all of Star Wars. And I mentioned this moment in that video as well, but the moment at the end of Force Awakens, before the whole Rey-Kylo Ren duel, where Rey outduels someone who's been training with a lightsaber for his whole life, the fight between Finn and Kylo Ren, after Kylo forces Rey back and knocks her unconscious against a tree, when Finn picks up Luke's lightsaber and ignites it, that moment for me was just so exciting and awe-inspiring, and that's when I really empathized and really rooted for Finn's character. Now, I'd liked him already, because, I feel like everyone at some point can relate to running away from something that they grew up with, but feel like they have no hope of outrunning, like Finn in the First Order. But when Finn finally decided to ignite the blue lightsaber and face down Kylo Ren, the pinnacle of what he'd been running away from the whole movie, even though he most likely knew that he stood no chance against the Force user, that for me just solidified him in that movie as my favorite character. And of course, he paid for it dearly. He took a lightsaber to the spine. And though, of course, that seemed to be negated throughout the rest of the sequel trilogy, we never really touch on how that affected him again. In that movie, it was a brutal blow, and we were fearing for Finn's life at the end. And it was all to protect his new friend Rey. And of course, you can say what you will about Rey and the rest of the sequel trilogy, but for me, that fight and that moment really showed what Finn could be if the writing and direction and story plan was there from the beginning for the Star Wars sequel trilogy. So, thank you everyone for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed this positive bit of content for once. This has been W.R. Wilder with Exploring Fiction. Remember to like and subscribe so you can keep coming back to the channel, and I will see you next time. Thanks.